This is the Crux35 HDZero, and what's really cool about it is this is a sub 250 gram quad with the 1 watt VTX on it that has the 90 FPS camera. So what I think is really cool about this combination is we can fly in a lot of places that are kind of outflying the range of the quad itself, and the video is holding in there, and you got the 90 FPS for super low latency for that locked in feel. And even with an action camera on this, it is well under 250 grams. It's about 200 grams with a Thumb Pro and a relatively large 4S battery. So give you a tour of this real quick. It's got the Freestyle V2 VTX on top, and then an antenna in the back, and then the Nano 90 camera in the front. And then there's an AIO on the bottom, 20 by 20, that runs these Happy Model 1404 3500 kV motors, and then 3.5 inch HQ props. This is a great thing to grab if you're looking for sub 250 with good range on HDZero. Let's take a look at how it looks in video. All right into the flight footage with this, because I really want to show what this thing can do. For me, it flies so great. It's very agile. I can fly it around real tight around my property. You don't need a huge space to fly this type of drone, and that's what I love about it. It's also really quiet because it's so light and the props are kind of big. So this is like honestly kind of a lightweight tiny trainer, if you take into account that the props are bigger but the weight is pretty similar to a tiny trainer. And of course we've got better video range on this than the tiny trainer, because on the tiny trainer we're using a 200 milliwatt VTX, and on this Crux35 we're able to fit the Freestyle VTX in at 1 watt. So I'm able to fly pretty confidently everywhere around. It's cool having this amount of VTX power on a platform that's a similar size to a tiny trainer. So where did this whole idea for a HDZero Crux35 or 3-inch drone come from? Well, I was pushing Carl kind of hard, saying, hey Carl, you don't have any bind and flies out there that have the 90 FPS camera, let alone the Freestyle V2 VTX. And really the sweet spot with HDZero is going to be these 3.5 inch drones and that really fast 90 FPS camera that's going to give a really good mix of range that the system has and agility of that new camera, and that's exactly what this is. And I think this is a sweet spot. So you got tiny whoops, of course, where you're going to be running something like the Nano V3, and then you have the Freestyle VTX. Does certainly work in a 5-inch. I do like flying it in a 5-inch, but more and more I'm flying the 3-inch size, the 3.5-inch size drone by choice, not because I have to. And that's because I could fly it in more places. It's super fun. It's more safe to fly around people. It's quieter. So there's all these benefits, and getting more usable range, I guess you'd say, out of the Freestyle VTX by kind of shrinking down the area that you're flying in. It all just makes sense. And this is where I think we're going to see a lot of manufacturers and a lot of new pilots going, is just being really happy with this 3.5 inch size drone and a relatively high power VTX, and just ripping around a yard or a small playground and having a blast. Because it's just fun. That's what it's about, is having fun. It's not about range penetration and going super far away from yourself. Certainly there are cases where you're going to do that, but that's just not what most of us do. Most of us are flying in a local park or flying in our backyard, and this is just the perfect platform for that. So one thing that I would be concerned with on a frame like this is that it's a unibody construction. So if you break an arm, that means that you're going to replace the entire frame, not just one arm. Now this Crux35 has been out for a long time, and I think there's a pretty good track record out there for it being actually pretty durable despite it looking kind of weak, quite honestly. And it's also, I think, only $10 or $20 for the frame if you were to break it, which you can then buy from a lot of different places online. So personally, I'm not worried about that at all. And if I were worried about it, I'd just buy a spare frame and swap this out if I needed to. And it's really a super simple build. Like, the stack is held on by 4 screws, and then yeah, the VTX just pops off. It's very, very basic, which is a good thing. You know, you want low maintenance, simple designs for your everyday kind of carry type of a system. And as you can see here, I am flying relatively far away. The key thing when flying relatively far away on HDZero is line of sight. You know, don't go and put a tree right in front of you, or don't go and fly from inside your car. You know, if you're going to fly from inside your car, it should be really obvious to you what's going to happen to the RF signal. It's going to bounce off the metal of the roof of the car, and then it's not going to make it to the receiver how it needs to. But here I'm just standing out on a cement pad over there, you can see on the right, and I've got a decent line of sight, and I can fly real far if I want to. Another interesting thing I found with this drone, it's just so lightweight that it flies for a long time. I'm getting flights 6 minutes is my typical, but I've also pushed it out to 10 minutes. And this is with a 650 4S battery. That'll get you about 5 to 6 minutes, and then the 850 4S battery will get you about that 6 to 8 to 10 minutes, depending on how aggressive you're flying. This thing will just cruise. It's cool. And most of the time I'm doing this, I've got the Thumb Pro on it, so it's a little bit heavier, and the Thumb Pro's pulling a little bit of extra power. So I'm not going for some kind of weird eco thing here with this. So that's the Crux35 HDZero. I can solidly recommend it. I think this is a perfect combination of performance and weight and video range. Everyone that has HDZero should consider having a nice little backyard ripper just like this guy. It's great. If you don't have one, it's hard to explain. It's great to have something that's not this big scary 5-inch. I fly this all the time. I get good video from the Thumb Pro that I put on the top. There's extra pads down here in the front of the FC for 5-volt and ground, which is what you need to run your Thumb Pro. And then I have that running up to the top here with the included GoPro style mount that's on top. So pricing and availability, that's a bit interesting. So Carl is going to be selling these on the HDZero website directly for $249, which is a pretty good price. If you think about it, the Freestyle V2 kit that comes with the camera, the Nano 90 camera, and the antenna and the VTX is $150. So basically for $100 more, you can get a whole drone. Not bad. The only downside, of course, is you have to deal with ordering directly from HDZero rather than getting it from a local FPV shop. So that out of the way, I think, man, why not? Just why not? Definitely one of my go-to quads. Enjoy.